For 144 years, the steeple bell of Sulphur Grove Church has been inviting people of all ages, backgrounds, and times in their lives to worship God, to learn of His love, and to share that love with others. Located in the uniquely diverse community of Huber Heights, Sulphur Grove United Methodist Church grows disciples who live and share God's love. Our history began shortly after the Civil War. Reverend Samuel S. Holden, a circuit-riding preacher, was assigned to this area. A revival in mass baptism in 1871 led to the erection of the first permanent house of worship in Wayne Township in Montgomery County. It was named Holden Chapel in honor of our founding pastor. In the intervening decades, the vision of these early pioneers has seen the community and the church grow and evolve. Now each Sunday, the church hosts 6 services on 4 campuses, plus live streaming over the internet. Could they have imagined? Could our ancestors have imagined serving 15,000 free meals to the community in nearly 6 years? Or teaching English as a second language? Or sending short-term missionaries across the U.S. and around the world? Could they have imagined the number of people who would come to these church doors seeking help, coping with death of loved ones, cancer, alcoholism, and family life? The generations who have gone before us have served faithfully. It is upon their foundations that we begin to imagine what God can do through us, to keep faith with heritage and God's call forward to grow disciples, living and sharing God's love. We are imagining growing to meet God's opportunities.
I think it's important that we remember that these spaces are going to be used for people of all ages. Just we can imagine the possibilities, Bible study for adults, small group for adults, and then again the children and the youth using it. We could imagine a lot of things for children of all ages, from young children to those of us children with the white hair that need spaces for worship and for Bible study, for fellowship. There's all kind of things that we can do here, and I think it's just a wonderful opportunity. And it starts with the parking lot. We have to do the parking lot before we can do the unfinished space, and then after the unfinished space, we're going to go to Holden Chapel and make sure that we have something for people in the future to look at and we can be proud of. Imagine that that's Reverend Holden in 1871 when that building was dedicated. It's an amazing place, and just imagine that it's going to be there for another couple hundred years. I think that's really pretty cool.
If we could finish the open spaces, those could be spaces for classrooms for both the youth and the children, designated spaces just for those age groups, that we could have age-appropriate furnishings, restroom facilities, drinking fountain, things that a lot of times that we don't think of that are very, very important when you're having young children. People with families, people with young children would really appreciate a better space that they could come and, do activities with their kids. Another component would probably be families maybe who have a child with some sort of a disability, so that we could be more user-friendly towards our community, our friends who do have disabilities. Anybody who has a child in a stroller can probably sometimes feel like they have somebody with a disability. It's not easy getting around with strollers and young children in tow, but if we can get the parking lot space finished so that it is easier to get in and out, if we can get some of our open or unfinished areas finished in appropriate ways, that it would make it a whole lot easier for families to use our facilities.
It is imperative and required by current zoning laws before any further building expansion can occur that we expand and repair the parking lot, making it safe and secure for people of all ages.
We know that this beautiful facility attracts so many people for a variety of functions, and parking is a problem. Even for myself, I think, oh gee, I want to get there a little early so I can park up closer. And I often think, well, maybe I better park farther away to let older folks who need to have a shorter walking distance. So I really am looking forward to the parking lot being improved so it's safer for folks, and that's going to be a real important thing because there are many people in our community who are looking for a place to meet, and I'm sure it's something that they are looking at. You know, how safe is it? How well lighted is it? And we want to make sure that that is possible for whoever uses our facility.
Right. I've had friends and family drive by the church on any given evening, and they'll say, "What are you doing at your church tonight? That parking lot is packed." And I said, "Well, I know it is on grub night, but I'm not here every night, so I don't know the other events that are occurring, but I do know that that parking lot does get packed." And it's a concern that I have about our grub nights because so many people come and they're waiting out in the lobby area to get in, and I see people walking by the church and I think, where are we going to put everybody and where are they parking? So it will be wonderful to have extended parking.
Shall I tell you what happened this morning? It was a rainy morning, and I pulled in next to the fence, and there was a puddle, and I always bring Golden with me, and she has neuropathy in her feet, and she can't feel her feet. Consequently, she's been falling lately, and I told her, "Open your door and see if I've left you in a puddle, or do you have dry space?" And she says, "I'm dry." And I says, "Okay." I opened mine, and of course I had a puddle on my side, but it didn't bother me. But we need to have good drainage so we don't have the ice spots. That will be solid ice, you know, after we've had a couple nights in the teens. That'll be solid ice. And we need a larger parking lot. There are some Sunday mornings that I come in for second service, and I go around and I drop Golden off at the door because I'm going to have to squeeze in someplace else. And so we do need to take care of that. So I envision a nice parking lot where we can come in on this side and go out on that side with good traffic flow.
Yeah, the parking lot with little children is just a scary place. When my son, who is 2, falls, he falls on his head. And also, if you're thinking about the new infant car seats are terribly heavy. And it is so scary walking across the parking lot holding a car seat, holding a toddler and a diaper bag, and trying to get through the bumps and the potholes. It's a scary place to walk through when you have little ones, and it's kind of embarrassing when new people come and that's the first thing they see when they pull in the parking lot. So, plus our teenagers are learning to drive, and they always want to park over by the kitchen, which is all mud and gravel, and that's just not a very safe place to learn to drive and park well. So yeah, the parking lot, I'd say, is very important.
Imagine a redesigned and reconstructed parking lot that will provide safety for persons of all ages, welcoming visitors and members to our ministries.
I imagine if this project were to be completed that it would just be such a blessing to all of us, because it would open up space out in the parking lot. It would be well lit. People would be feeling safe by coming here, and it would add to the warmth of the hospitality that we offer inside. And I just see it as truly a blessing if we can complete this project.
I imagine that if we improve our parking lot, especially those who are needing walkers or wheelchair assistance, that they will find it much easier to get into our building, because that is a concern. That might be something that turns someone away to attend one of our events if they find it's just too difficult to get here. But if we can improve that and make it easy for folks to get in here, wow, what a real plus.
With our building filled nightly with Bible study groups, Boy and Girl Scouts, almost 100 youth and leaders this year, and their special projects such as the Pinewood Derby or Rain Gutter Regattas, church administrative meetings, choirs, bands, and special musical and instrumental music groups, community meals, and service groups. The variety is extensive, changes weekly, and provides for even more opportunities for persons to experience our matchless hospitality.
The shed that we use is located in the back, so we basically cut through all of the cars, which are, every lot basically is full because we come back on Sunday when church is in session. So we cut to the back and there's still lots of cars around, and it's kind of cluttered and messy, and sometimes it's hard to figure out where your parent is parked to leave the parking lot because they just blend in with all the other cars. So, well, lots of times we normally use the activity center because it's the biggest and easiest room for us to use with the amount of people we have. But if we can't use the activity center, which happens sometimes a couple times a month, we try to come in here, but sometimes this room is already used too. So then we've even had to go to the narthex and use that for our meetings. I think that the scouting program definitely helps for, to educate youth and teach them a lot of morals and values and things that would be beneficial towards the church, just because it kind of helps them to develop their character and morals and ethics and all those things.
And with those new faces, new programs and new educational opportunities, imagine new and expanded space if we were to finish the 2 large unfinished areas in the existing building. The old office space that is nearly 2,200 square feet, and the upper space, over 3,500 square feet, with the addition of a required additional outside enclosed exit. Imagine the possibilities.
I kind of imagine that if we could get the funding for the project upstairs, it'd be a welcoming place for young people who don't know about Christianity, and kind of a gateway to teach young people about Jesus and all he's done for us, and then it'd be just a great place where people could feel accepted.
If we got enough funding, I think it'd be great if we could have a bigger youth room so that we wouldn't have to move rooms to play games or to have our Bible studies or lessons, and we could all just be in the same room in the same group and not have to get into little groups, so we could have enough space for everybody.
I imagine if we got enough funding, we'd be a lot bigger. We could invite more of our friends, and we'd have probably more equipment to do things. Maybe have more shelves for more books and Bibles, and have new things that we can use and stuff like that.
Imagine new classrooms for expanded Christian education, Bible studies, large and small groups for youngsters and youth, and yes, adults. Sundays, evenings, during the week and on weekends. Imagine repairing and restoring and preserving for future generations our historic Holden Chapel. The Reverend George R. Jacoby was one of the longest-serving ministers at Sulphur Grove, serving from 1922 to 1952. 2 of his 5 children attend Sulphur Grove regularly, Melba Jacoby Moore, who is 96, was longtime organist and frequent pianist in what is now called Holden Chapel. Her younger brother Jay, 86, long served Sulphur Grove as its major fixer-upper. Here is an excerpt of their reminiscing with Jay's daughter Leslie Jacoby Godzig.
Well, we came in, and I know that we didn't, for some reason, the heat's not working and the lights aren't coming on, so obviously the chapel needs to be maintained, obviously.
Oh,
and that's part of this capital campaign, that they are videotaping what we're speaking about, and funds need to continue to come in to keep, I mean, this is a beautiful room, the stained glass windows, and we have memory plaques on the windows for Grandma and Grandpa Jacoby, and the altar elements here for Uncle Bud, yeah, your brother. So, I mean, it's a beautiful space and good memories.
With the projects included in our Imagine Capital campaign, imagine a safe, well-lit parking lot that will create a safe, welcoming environment for all of our new friends. Finishing the unfinished space, already to imagine new educational opportunities, such as children's ministries, expanded Christian education for all ages, not just youth, programming that will invite new visitors within our walls. Imagine refurbishing Holden Chapel as a reminder of our heritage and our direction for the future. Imagine no malaria. With Sulphur Grove's history as a congregation with a mission heart, we have always reached beyond our brick walls to help others locally and worldwide. 2 couples are leading our Imagine No Malaria component.
It's $10 for a bed net in order to help save a life.
Well, $10, that's hardly anything for somebody in the United States.
Yes, being in a third world country, they don't have that option.
Wow. And I've heard that 85 to 90% of the people that are killed from malaria are children, babies, and pregnant ladies.
In exchange for consulting services, we have pledged to tithe 10% of what we raise in this campaign, up to $50,000, to Imagine No Malaria, a global initiative to eradicate death by malaria through prevention, education, communication, and treatment. Every $10 will save a life. Now is the time to act. If we miss this opportunity, we may lose the connections now we have with children, youth, families, and adults who are now involved or interested in encountering God's love. Imagine what God has in store for us. Sulphur Grove United Methodist Church currently carries a debt of just under $800,000 for the 2007 Activity Center building. It will likely take another 10 years or so of monthly payments from the budget to pay that debt in full. We do not want to increase our debt. As sufficient funds become available, we shall start. The parking lot first, then we will take another look at the plans for the unfinished space in Holden Chapel. And with the availability of funds, we will proceed. Just imagine what God can do through us.